Hi, I'm Mike with House on the Mend, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Ryobi SWIFTClean. So let's get started.
House on the Mend.
Now, I'm not sponsored by Ryobi or anyone else. I purchased this SWIFTClean with my own money. Let's unbox it and see what comes in the package. Alright, here's everything that comes in the package. The SWIFTClean comes pre-assembled. So in addition to it, you get the manual, a quick start guide, and one bottle of the Ryobi Oxy cleaning formula. Let's take a look at the unit itself. Overall, it is, without the battery, 18 inches in length and about 8 inches tall. In the hand, it feels really robust. Everywhere that you see gray pattern is a really nice rubberized grip on it. So let's go over some of the components. You have the solution tank up here that is meant for water or your oxy cleaning formula. This one down here is the waste tank. Then you have the spray nozzle right here that is outside of the unit. It is not inside of this port. This port right here is where the vacuum pulls up the dirty solution from the carpet or upholstery. Then down here you have a brush that is powered by the machine. And as you see in this picture, it peaks just below the frame of the unit to agitate the upholstery. And if you look on this side, you'll see this little symbol with a lock and an unlock and a slot for a coin to go inside. And you can just unscrew and unlock and then pull out the brush, and you can cut with scissors if there's hair or any other kind of upholstery yarn or string that's caught up in there, like gets caught up in all of our vacuums, and clean it off that way. And then simply slide it back down, engage it with the actual gear that drives it, put it back into place, and lock it. Just as cool as removing the brush is the waste tank. There is a button right on the side that you can catch with your thumb if you're right-handed, or your forefinger if you're left-handed. A simple push of that releases the tank. The tank has this plastic latch, and all the way around is a rubberized gasket. Nothing in here is removable, so you simply just dump out the old and rinse it out, close it up, and you're back in business. Interestingly, even though the unit is several inches high, this line here for the max is quite low. So it looks like you're going to be emptying it possibly quite a bit if you're using it a lot. This port here brings in the dirty solution from the carpet or upholstery, and this one here is the actual vacuum that is sucking it up from this front port here. And in that area there is a little sponge filter that can be removed and cleaned and put back in. There's two retaining clips on either side, so it's a simple process of just popping the waste tank back in place. That brings us to the top here. Let's go over first the solution tank. So this one is very small. In fact, it holds less than 2/3 of a cup, or about 6 fluid ounces, which is the contents of one bottle of their cleaning formula. So it looks a little deceptive that that's all that's going to get in there. And then I've noticed that removing and reinserting the solution tank is pretty tough, and I think it's because this rubber O-ring is completely dry. So I'm just going to take a small amount of pure silicone grease and just give that a slight lubrication. Maybe that'll make it easier. To reinsert it, you put it simply right back in the circular slot. It engages up front in this notch and in the back in this notch, and then it overcomes this little spring-loaded catch. There is no release for that. It's simply just spring tension. So let's put that back into place, and you're looking for it to just engage over the top of the blue cap. And that's not easy. You kind of have to get after it to get it to engage. Standard Ryobi battery port couldn't be any simpler. You just stick the battery right in, and the releases are on either side of the actual battery. You can use any size battery, Ryobi battery you want. One of the coolest things I've noticed so far is the 3 separate buttons. So the first button that looks like a spray nozzle pattern is just what you think. It is taking this solution from the solution tank and spraying it out the front. Pretty quiet. And it only functions when you're pushing down on the button. The next one is an on-off switch for the brush. Which is really cool, that you don't have to have the vacuum going while the brush is going, so you can save on your battery power. And then finally, the on-off switch button in the back is the vacuum. Decent suction. I don't know that it'll hold up to the level of, say, a Rug Doctor or one of those type of plug-in AC power units, but this is meant for spot cleaning, so we'll test it and see. Unlike some of the other carpet and upholstery cleaners we have, this front area that gets just filled full of dog hair and nasty dirt and everything comes right off and can be easily cleaned. The port is big enough that you can get a rag down there or Q-tips if you really want to get into these tight crevices, but it's nice that that comes off so you can just clean everything. And to put it back in place, you have to engage the 2 tabs on the bottom while also simultaneously getting the port in like that. Good to go. Manual is pretty well written. I don't know what's up with Ryobi going with all the words up front describing everything, but then having to flip through a couple other languages first to get back to where the actual illustrations are that tell you what they're talking about and show you, demonstrate what they're talking about in the instructions. I wish they were just right along with the instructions, but that seems to be the way they're going. Now, I will say one thing. They do supply you with this quick start guide that just tells you really quick how to get it going. There is a discrepancy between the guide and the manual, however. Down here, as you can see, it says, for best results, use with Ryobi Oxy solution, but compatible with most Oxy solutions. But in the instructions right here, it says use only Ryobi brand Oxy solution. And then do not use other chemicals because that could damage the parts and void your warranty. So they're giving conflicting instructions here. Use only Ryobi solution if you want to keep your warranty. All right, let's start in the kids' room. It's always a good place to find a stain on the carpet. I have the Oxy cleaning solution in the tank. Let's start by spraying it, and there we go. There's nothing in the instructions on the bottle or in the manual for how long to let this stuff sit, but I figure 1 minute ought to be good. All right, it's been a minute. Now let's agitate. So not very noisy, and we've got a really sudsed up kind of area right here. Let's see what happens when we turn on the vacuum. All right, what'd that take? 20 seconds or so before we stopped seeing any suds coming up through the vacuum. And let's take a look at what we got out of here. It looks like a lot of bubbles to me, nothing really discernible as far as dirty. If I get my head out of the light, I don't see that stain anymore, and that's pretty impressive. From the overhead view, I can almost see like a square of very light color right here compared to the rest of this carpet. This is a pretty heavy-duty traffic area heading into the bathroom. So overall, that looks really good. All right, we are here in my work van. It is a Ram ProMaster 2500, by the way. I'm going to be doing an entire build series, so please subscribe and stay tuned for that. It's going to be a work/travel van build series, and I think you're going to really like it. But today we are focusing on the seats. So I love having Juno with me in the car, but as you see right here, there is hair and that kind of doggy dander all over the inside area of both the driver and passenger seats. And then if you look right here and on the bottom, there's a reddish dirt color on this passenger seat. That's from my daughter who plays softball. She got in the car and we left a tournament a few weeks back, and she had been sliding around and whatnot as kids do when they play ball. And so these seats are in pretty dire need of cleaning. Also, as you see in this picture over on the driver's seat, right in between my legs, when I'm eating lunch or whatever, driving from one job to another, you can see that stain right there in the center. So let's get all this cleaned up. The first thing I want to do actually is not expect the SWIFTClean to get all this dog hair. I am going to take a shop vac and vacuum up all the dog hair, and then we'll get to cleaning. Next, let's spray everything down. So quite a bit of waste from that pattern going on the floor. Let me see if I can get at it at a different angle. Yeah, it's a little better, but it got all over the door. All right, we'll let it sit for a minute and let's agitate. You know, it sounds like the battery is struggling, but we still have 3 bars, so we're doing all right. I think that brush is just a little underpowered. All right. All right, I do see some dirt right here in the intake port as well as on the bottom. Not very much, so I think you got to go pretty heavy on these seats. But instead of doing another round with the OxiClean, I think I'll clean this spot over here where there's dog slobber, and then the driver's seat with the remaining bit of OxiClean we have, and then I think I'll come back with water and do it all again. Well, it took a couple rounds to get the fabric more wet so that the vacuum would have something to bring up, but I think it did a great job transforming these back to the way they originally looked. Well, what you're looking at is a heavily stained hood insulation pad on my daughter's Land Rover LR3 that we're refurbishing on my other channel. Here's a link to it if you'd like to see the process that we're going through. Let's take this down and see if the SWIFTClean can take care of these nasty coolant stains. All right, it's been a minute. Let's agitate it with the brush. All right, so that brush was having difficulty finding purchase in some of these little nooks and crannies here, but nonetheless, you can easily tell where the brush worked because the pattern looks differently. Let's turn on the vacuum and see what we get. Oh, that's nasty. That comes off really easy. All right, well, unmistakable this time how much dirt and grime was picked up. That is just nasty. All right. Well, this is so illustrative of a dirty intake port that I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to see how easy or hard it is to wash. So this is just warm water. Easy. Well, this all looks really nasty from that hood insulation pad. I wouldn't want to use it on anything else unless it's clean, so let's take the brush out, clean it, and wipe everything else down. Go. All kinds of fibers getting trapped in there. They can just be picked out so easy. That's nice. All right, just a wet rag. Ugh. Boy, that got a lot of dirt off that pad. I'm gonna have to go over that again with some water. All right, right back in with the brush. And the intake port, done. Now the waste tank. Ew, look at that. Pretty easy. Well, I think I've done enough testing with this SWIFTClean to give you the pros and cons. So let's start with the pros. Number one, it's nice and quiet. The battery life is excellent through every bit of that cleaning that you saw in this video. We only dropped 1 bar on a 4 amp hour battery, so really good. Also, the ease of cleaning. I love that the intake nozzle and the tank here, the waste tank, both come off and clean up very easily. Now, something that's not necessarily a pro or a con, just a data point, is that the 6 fluid ounce bottle that came with the tool was enough to complete these 3 cleaning projects that I demonstrated. It's all gone now. Now the cons. Definitely 2 hands is the best, most effective way to use the tool, pushing down a little bit to get more of the vacuum pressure to suck up your waste. And while doing that multiple times, this fluid tank here that holds the cleaning fluid popped off in my hand. It also leaks quite a bit, even though it has this nice O-ring. Another thing about the fluid tank, as you see in this video here, when you set it down to pour the cleaning fluid into it, it tips over. However, I did find that if you set it on the tool like this, it will hold it in place. Another con would be that realistically this is meant to spot treat maybe a 1 foot by 1 foot area. Anything more than that, like when we did the hood insulation pad for the vehicle hood, I found it easier to switch over to our rug doctor that is able to treat larger areas easier. I also found that the brush struggled to get into the nooks and crannies and tight little areas of both the hood insulation pad and the seats in the van. And finally, the size of the unit is such that it struggles in tight little places. If you saw in the video, it was actually bumping up against the van doors. I was trying to scrub the seats. There were multiple instances where I think if you're doing tight spaces, vehicles, things like that, you're going to be happier with something that has a hose that you can get into those areas, such as our rug doctor. But overall, I really like this tool, and for carpets and areas like that, it's going to be my go-to because it's way easier to set up than anything else we have. So if you found this video helpful, will you please give it a thumbs up? It sure helps the algorithms to start suggesting it to more viewers like you. Also, please consider subscribing. We've got a lot of videos on the channel coming up. It's a simple thing to do. You just log in and hit subscribe, and it really helps the channel to grow. And I appreciate everyone who's been doing that. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I read all comments on every single video and I check them daily. I'll leave a link to this page in the description below. It's going to be either on ryobitools.com or homedepot.com that you can find it. Until next time, thank you for watching.